Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Keval Bhakti Sadma Bandhu Moy Savadana Mate Bandhu Moy Savadana Mate Jahar Prasade Bhai E Bhavatoriya Jai Jahar Prasade Bhai E Bhavatoriya Jai Krishna prapti hoya hoite Krishna prapti hoya hoite Guru mukha padma vakya chite te koriya kya Arana kore amane asa Arana kore amane asa Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gate Jai Prasade Pule Sava Asa Jai Prasade Pure Sava Asa Chakudana dilo je janme janme Prabhu se Chakudana dilo je janme janme Prabhu se Divya Gyan Hriday Prakasita Prema Bhaktiya hoite avida vinas jate Prema Bhaktiya hoite avida vinas jate Vede Gaya Racharito Vede Gaya Racharito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Loknath Lokera Jivana Ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deho Mole Pada Chaya Just Gustu Tribhuvana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Namo Vishnu Padaya
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namo. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Nitya Gauranga, Nitya Gauranga, Nitya Gauranga, Nitya Gauranga, Nitya Gauranga, Nitya Gauranga, Gaura Hari, Gora, 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 Re. Gora, 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 Re. Jai Satchinandana Gora Hari. Gora, 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 Re. Gora, 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 Re. Jai Satchinandana Gora Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Nityananda, 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 Nityananda. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Nityananda, 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 Nityananda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki, Shri Nittai Gaura Sundar ki, Patita Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanande, Haribol, Haribol, Haribol.
Shishimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charan Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Food for Life founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Acharya Astotra Sat Shishimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Raj Thakur ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामकुंड राधाकुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्र महारानी की जय। श्री श्री निठाई गौर सुंदर की जय। श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। श्री गुरु परम्परा की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री नीलचल जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की जय। श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। Thai goat Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
सिंहदेव भगवान की, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की, शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय, नमस्ते नरसिंहाय, प्रहलाद लाद दायने, प्रहलाद लाद दायने, हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः, हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः, शीलताङ्कानकालाय, शीलताङ्कानकालाय, इतोन सीमा पर तोन सीमा, इतोन सीमा पर तोन सीमा, यतो यतो यमित तोन सीमा, यतो यतो यमित तोन सीमा, बाहेन सीमा दयन सीमा, बाहेन सीमा दयन सीमा, नरसिंहमरिं शरणं प्रपद्ये, नरसिंहमरिं शरणं प्रपद्ये, तव कर कमलवरे नकामभूत सिंहां, दलितार हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गं, केशवधीता नरहरि रूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, नकामभूत तार हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गं, केशवदीता नरहरि रूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, केशवदीता नरहरि रूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, जय नरसिंहदेव, जय नरसिंहदेव, नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव, देव जय प्रहलाद महाराज, प्रहलाद महाराज, प्रहलाद महाराज, जय प्रहलाद महाराज, जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव भगवान की, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे जय राधा राधनाथ राधा राधनाथ राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande.
I don't need it too close because I am very loud. So. Yeah, okay.
Because your voice streams.
Yeah. Their Lordships Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki. Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Sundar ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Premanande. So, Hare Krishna. Welcome to this Sunday Love Feast class on this very auspicious day of Ekadasi. So, Srila Prabhupada has always told us that Ekadasi days and festival days are mothers of devotion. So, it's very wonderful that you have chosen to be here today. Okay, I'll introduce myself. I always find this very strange because I'm the person introducing the speaker, so we'll roll it all into one. So for those of you who are not familiar, my name is Jalangi Dasi. I'm a disciple of His Holiness Parthasarathi Das Goswami Maharaj, and I serve on many platforms here at the New Jagannath Puri temple. And today it is my wonderful responsibility to speak to you on a very important topic. But before we go ahead with our prayers and the class itself, I just want to have a quick reminder to you. We have introduced a system in terms of prasad now for the last few weeks, and you had all seen that lovely decorative bracelet that you get, the band, right? Okay, do we all have one? Anybody doesn't have one? Okay, so if we don't have one, keep your hands raised. The devotees are going to bring you one. And I am going to explain the process to you very quickly before the class, because I think somehow by the end of the class, the rumbles in the tummy seem to affect our ability to focus a little bit. So, very quickly, why have we introduced this system? In part, it is to ensure we have an idea of the number of devotees we have at our Love Feast program, which makes it very easy for us to cater appropriately for you. Secondly, and more importantly, we'd like to encourage you to sit through the Love Feast program. And I gave a class a few weeks back on honoring prasad and the mood in which we should honor prasad, and how the value of prasadam is increased after we have listened to discourse on the Supreme Lord. So asking you to be in the temple room by a certain point to receive the band is actually giving you a little bit of boost to say, be here, hear the glories of the Lord and the holy name, and then honor prasad in the correct frame of mind. And thirdly, it is also a mechanism for us to ensure that you who have come to the program and have committed to sit through the entire program, you are our honored guests today, and we serve you first and foremost. Unfortunately, there are some individuals who only arrive timelessly for prasad. There's no harm, but we'd like to encourage more people to sit in the temple room. Have we covered the Mataji side as well, those who are handing bands? Any Matajis still to receive a band? Okay. So before you leave today, those Matajis, so please see Bhakti Vinod Prabhu, and he will sort that out for you. All right? So let's commence with a few prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, firstly, I'm going to beg your indulgence and apologize. I'm still coming off a bout of bronchitis, so there will be periods where I will cough through this presentation. So please just bear with me. And you know, they say it's Murphy's Law. When you need to speak, that's when it seems to trouble you most. But we will try to get through this. Today's topic is based on a verse out of Bhagavad Gita. So we'll offer some prayers first there before we read the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dear Lordships Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki, Shishi Nitai Gauda Sundar ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. We're reading out of chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, text 25. Devam eva parayajnam yogina paryupassate Brahmagna vapare yajnam yajne vojo pajuhavati. Devam. You can repeat responsively. Devam, in worshipping the demigods. Eva, like this. Apara, some others. Yajnam, sacrifices. Yogina, mystics. Paruspate, worship perfectly. Brahma, of the absolute truth. Agno, in the fire. Apare, others. Yajnam, sacrifice. Yagnena, by sacrifice. Eva, thus. Upajuvati, offer. The English translation. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some of them offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman, purport by His Divine Grace. As described above, a person engaged in discharging duties in Krishna consciousness is also called a perfect yogi or a first-class mystic. But there are others also who perform similar sacrifices in the worship of demigods, and still others who sacrifice to the Supreme Brahman, or the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord. So there are different kinds of sacrifices in terms of different categories. Such different categories of sacrifice by different types of performers also superficially demark varieties of sacrifice. Factually, sacrifice means to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is also known as Yajna. All the different varieties of sacrifice can be placed within two primary divisions, namely sacrifice of worldly possessions and sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. Those who are in Krishna consciousness sacrifice all material possessions for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, while others, who want some temporary material happiness, sacrifice their material possessions to satisfy demigods such as Indra, the sun god, etc. And others, who are impersonalists, sacrifice their identity by merging into the existence of impersonal Brahman. The demigods are powerful living entities appointed by the Supreme Lord for the maintenance and supervision of all material functions, such as heating, watering, and lighting of the universe. Those who are interested in material benefits worship the demigods by various sacrifices according to the Vedic rituals. They are called Bhav Ishvaravadi, or believers in many gods. But others who worship the impersonal feature of the absolute truth and regard the forms of the demigods as temporary, sacrifice their individual selves in the supreme fire, and thus end their individual existences by merging into the existence of the Supreme. Such impersonalists sacrifice their time in philosophical speculation to understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme. In other words, In other words, the fruitive workers sacrifice their material possessions for material enjoyment, whereas the impersonalist sacrifices his material designations with a view to merging into the existence of the Supreme. For the impersonalist, the fire altar of sacrifice is the Supreme Brahman, and the offering is still of the self being consumed by the fire of Brahman. The Krishna-conscious person, like Arjuna, however, sacrifices everything for the satisfaction of Krishna, and thus all his material possessions, as well as his own self, everything is sacrificed for Krishna. Thus, he is a first-class yogi, but he does not lose his individual existence. Now, when I was asked to give this class, it actually coincided with a discussion at that point that I was having with the well-wisher of our society. And he had asked some important questions centering around the idea of sacrifice and how we view this concept of sacrifice. And together with the fact that last week His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami spoke about how do we prepare for the festivals. And he spoke about understanding what sacrifice we will make for the pleasure of the Lord. So today's class is centered around that. And in doing some research, I came across a very brilliant speaker, very renowned scholar in ISKCON, whom I'd like you to listen to. It's not a very long talk, but essential ideas of sacrifice are discussed in this little talk. And I always apologize for being a teacher because the nature of my job means I'm going to ask you questions. So we're going to listen carefully and pay attention to what is discussed in this short video. If we can have some volume on this. Okay, I'm going to stop it so that we hear the essential part that Prabhu speaks. So while we're speaking about that, I'll ask a few important questions. When we think of this word sacrifice, what comes to mind? What is the definition of sacrifice? Use, okay. Selflessness, good. Abstinence, good. Any other definition? of a service, wonderful. A higher purpose, fantastic. So the word sacrifice has as its root word the word sacred. And what does sacred mean? Something holy, something important. So when we look at this word sacrifice, we need to think of this root word of sacred. So sacrifice is meant to be that which creates that sense of holiness. In Krishna consciousness, what is the best way to sacrifice? Nam Yagya, yes. Chanting the holy name. What else? Serve Krishna and his devotees. But what's the ultimate form of sacrifice? Is to give yourself up in the service of Krishna, which would mean dedicate your entire life in the service of Krishna, which is a very high goal, isn't it? And if we think about it, why are we here in this material world? Yes, we were envious of Krishna when we had that opportunity to be in the spiritual world with Krishna. Somehow or the other, we decided we wanted to be lords of a material nature. So that envy has brought us to this material world. And what is the golden ticket to go back home? Is to be able to give your life to Krishna. So the ultimate sacrifice would be to give your life. But this world, it's like one of those, let me liken it to, your PIN code on your cell phone number. What happens if you enter it wrong a few times? You're locked out of it, isn't it? So somehow or the other, we've gotten the PIN code wrong. And we're stuck here. And how do we fix that? You have to go and find what is called a PUC number. Isn't that correct? And what does a PUC number do? It helps you unlock yourself. And in this day and age, we have that opportunity to do this by finding that PUC number in several ways. What's the first PUC number? The first of the digits of the PUC number. Chant the holy name. There's digit number 1. What's the second digit of the PUC number? Offer devotional service. Yes. Third one? 4 regulative principles. Fourth one? Surrendering. And under surrendering, there are many categories. Under devotional service, there are many categories. So we got the PUC number. We locked in this material world. We got to get the PUC number activated so we can get out. How does this tie into sacrifice? As Srila Prabhupada is telling us here, when we sacrifice in this material world, there are different types of sacrifice. If we sacrifice our material possessions for material gain, is that accessing the PUC number? No. You're locking yourself out even more, isn't it? But when we learn to make the ultimate sacrifice, and that is to give our life to Krishna, that's going to take you automatically back into the system. But because we locked here, we have to find the ways to get into the system that's going to take you ultimately back to Godhead. So you and I, maybe not in this lifetime, hopefully in near lifetimes, we'll be able to dedicate our lives to the service of Krishna. But until such time, what do we do? And this is why Krishna consciousness is so amazing. It's so amazing. You know, when people say, you have one life, make the most of it. I like to laugh. Because I'll say, you don't have one life. You don't have one life. And that's the beauty of this existence that the Supreme Lord has created for us. we don't have one life, we have many lives, but this is like a little game, right? In every lifetime, if you score enough points, what are you going to do? You're going to jump into the next level. And unlike many games where you lose all the points, in this game you're taking that point from lifetime to lifetime in what we call your Shrukriti. And when you gain enough points and you move through the lifetimes, then you're going to be able to enter back into Goloka Vrindavan. And the Lord creates these opportunities for us in so many ways. Thank you, Prabhu. In so many ways. So if we cannot give up our lives, what did Prabhupada always teach us? What can we give up? Our enjoying propensity, number one. But often, very often, Prabhupada would be heard in classes saying, if you can't give your life, give your time. And what does that translate into? Performing devotional service. And still, that's so difficult in this day and age, isn't it? Why do we call it a rat race? Do you know why they call it a rat race? Sometimes in a hamster and a rat cage, they have a little wheel. And what is the rat and the hamster doing? It's constantly running, and that's what our lives are. We're constantly busy trying to exist in this miserable material world. So, time becomes a factor, right? And then this last part, everybody always looks away when I say it. And Prabhupada said, if you can't give your time, what can you give? Your money. Okay? Now there's a problem too. We don't have enough of that, do we? But the wonderful thing about giving, about sacrificing, is that, like it is said in the material world, the more you give, the more you get. And Krishna consciousness is wonderful like that. So where's our Shastric reference for this? We just read the verse from Bhagavad Gita. I want to draw your attention also to this verse. In 3:16, the Lord says, my dear Arjuna, a man who does not follow this prescribed Vedic system of sacrifice certainly leads a life of sin, for a person delighting only in the senses lives in vain. Furthermore, chapters 1 to 6, the Krishna-conscious person, like Arjuna, however, sacrifices everything for the satisfaction of Krishna, and thus all his material possessions, as well as his own self, everything is sacrificed for Krishna. And in that purport, which we just read just now, Prabhupada speaks about, and the important part is those last few lines. When he says the Krishna-conscious person like Arjuna sacrifices everything, including the self. Then in Krishna book, the wonderful example is given of sacrifice. When Krishna traveled to the Vrindavan forest or walked on Govardhan hill, he was accompanied by the cowherd boys. While walking, he played his flute just to call his cows. Just by his association, the trees, plants, and other vegetation in the forest immediately became Krishna conscious. A Krishna conscious person sacrifices everything for Krishna. Although the trees and plants were not very advanced in consciousness, by the association of Krishna and his friends, they also become Krishna conscious. They then wanted to deliver everything, whatever they had, namely their fruits, flowers, and the honey, incessantly falling from their branches. What a beautiful description of how even the flowers and the plants would offer themselves in sacrifice. And further, in a lecture in Los Angeles in 1968, Srila Prabhupada said, everyone thinks, oh, I've earned this money so hard. Why shall I spend it for Krishna? Let me keep it. I shall do it for my sense gratification. This kind of advancement is no value, you see. How one has learned to sacrifice everything for Krishna. And then, very important, one of the seed verses of Bhagavad Gita is chapter 4, text 11. Ye yatamam prapadayante tam steva bhajami aham mama vartmanu vartante manusya parta sarvasaha. All of them. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Partha. So it's clear, dear devotees, that for us, Krishna consciousness is the central part of our life. It is our entire life. And while I say that, I'm reminded of something said by His Holiness Priyad Bhagavad Swami a few years ago. We were doing a course with him. And in one part of this course, we had to do this little presentation. And one of the aspects of our presentation was, how do we manage our lives as Krishna conscious individuals? And the one thing that was said is that we find the balance in our life. And I will never forget what Maharaj said in return. He said, this is nonsense. What balance? Your life is Krishna conscious. That is the central part of your life. Everything else is about managing. There is no balance, because the larger part of your life is meant to be for your Krishna consciousness. And that larger part of your life means that everything we do in our lives should center on offering that devotional service to the Supreme. Now that everything has many opportunities, and I'm going to discuss those opportunities in a short while. But I want to come to this very beautiful image. Does anybody know the pastime associated with this image? Right. Let me tell you, since very few of us know. So once, I'm going to give you the shortened version, right? The fruit seller comes into the village, and she's longing in her heart to be able to see the Supreme Lord. And she calls out, and here comes the Supreme Lord, and she offers him this wonderful mango from her basket. And then the Supreme Lord says something so interesting. What does he say? He says, I want everything in that basket. And without hesitation, the fruit seller gives everything. Now remember, this is the way in which she made her income. But on the asking of the Supreme Lord, she gives up everything. And when she's in that process of so lovingly offering all this to Krishna, you can see his little hands can't even hold how much there was in the basket. What does the Supreme Lord do? He then fills her basket with all of these precious jewels and stones. Now, don't get the wrong interpretation, right? We don't give so that we can get all of this material benefit. Why do we give? Because we firstly give out of love, and secondly, because the Supreme Lord, He can be bought through your devotion. Why does He need anything you can give Him? In the Isha Upanishad, we have the verse, Isha Vasya Idam Sarvam. The Supreme Lord is the proprietor of everything. So is it the material things that He wants from you or needs from you? No. Right? In the verse we say, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhakti Prayachite. Where's the important word in that verse? Bhakti. Because when we take anything that we have, we offer with the devotion, with the bhakti, without the expectation of material return, then Lord Krishna is thinking, how do I fulfill and repay this devotion by this wonderful soul? Right? Often in Krishna conscious circles, you'll hear this adage, you take one step to Krishna, towards him, and he'll take 10 steps towards you. And what does the Lord reward you with? He rewards you with the love and the opportunity for devotional service. What a merciful Lord. We were the ones who did wrong. We wanted to be greater than him. And what does he do? He gives us this material planet, he gives us this material life, and he gives us the opportunity to earn our way back. Now imagine you and me. If someone disrespects you extremely badly, what's our first reaction? Well, I don't want to talk that Mataji again. She's too hectic. We hold it against someone, isn't it? We commit the ultimate offense to the Lord, and what does he do? He creates more opportunity for us to come back to him. So this idea of bhakti is tied to the idea of sacrifice. Because when we sacrifice, it is an opportunity for us to give up our idea of what is material, what is so-called possession for us, and in return, what do we get? We get the most valuable thing, and that is love of God. Right? So this idea of sacrificing is so central to our lives as devotees. And I'm going to refer to one more verse, and this is 10:10. The Supreme Lord gives us an assurance in Bhagavad Gita. He says, to those constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they come to me. So what do we want? We want this understanding. So when we sacrifice our time, we sacrifice our life, we sacrifice our material possessions, we do so for the pleasure of the Lord, because what are we getting? Bonus. The bonus is that we get the understanding by which we are able to go back home to Godhead. Now tell me, who is sitting here that doesn't want this? Who does not want this? The understanding by which you can return back home to Godhead. So if we all want it, we have to be prepared to do what we can for it, correct? Sometimes we set these material goals in our lives, right? So I remember when I completed university, and well, you know, in this country, being a teacher is not the most lucrative job. Doesn't pay you very much because education is not valued. I had a friend who said to me, I can't wait to earn a salary. And I thought, yes, all of us. And he says, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to save the whole year to buy my BMW M3. So the goal is set, right? And without even doubting himself once, that year, he denied himself all his pleasures because he wanted that BMW. So that propensity to work towards a goal is human nature, is in human nature, right? And here we are, we know what the goal is, we know how to get it, What's left to do? To actually do it. Right? I feel like a Nike advert. Just do it. And how fortunate are we that we have come to Krishna consciousness. We are in the shelter of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, where the opportunity to just do it is there every time you engage in chanting, you engage in coming to the temple, in listening, in speaking, in preaching, in reading, in taking prasad. Every Krishna conscious activity moves you towards that goal. And like that game I was talking about, everything you do is an opportunity to move a step up in each life. So now where does the problem lie? Lies with us. So when we talk about sacrifice, the first thing we must do is sacrifice our nature to want to enjoy the material world. No one is saying give up everything and go live in the forest. Don't. What we are saying is, here are the opportunities to sacrifice. And what a wonderful thing that when you sacrifice, sometimes sacrifice means giving up something. Right? And we don't like to give anything up. But we give up, and what's there waiting for us? This fantastic reward, which is assured to us by the Supreme Lord Himself when He says, I give the understanding by which they come to me. Right? So how to sacrifice? Firstly, let's understand that factually, like we read in the verse at the beginning, to sacrifice means to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is also called Yajna. Right? And I want to discuss this today a little bit because it comes to the second part of the question that I was asked. So you are aware that next Sunday we have 108 yajnas that we are going to be offering to the Supreme Lord. Right? Anybody hearing this for the first time? Oh, good. I know our media systems are working. So, our understanding of sacrifice is captured very nicely here. When it says, when one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifices should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remain on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. So, when we sacrifice in Krishna consciousness, whichever form of sacrifice we are going to perform, we do so with the knowledge, which is also what we are gaining here today, of why we sacrifice. And because we do so with the knowledge that sacrifice is for the Supreme Lord, then immediately it is not material sacrifice. It is operating out of transcendental knowledge. Now, why do we offer these yajnas? And our reference to this comes from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 69, verse 24. It says, in one place the Lord was offering oblations into the sacrificial fires, in another worshipping through the 5 Mahayagnas, in another feeding Brahmanas, and in yet another eating the remnants of food left by Brahmanas. In the purport, the 5 Mahayagnas, or great sacrifices, are defined as follows. Pato Hamas Chaititam Saparya Tarpanam Bala, reciting the Vedas, offering oblations into the sacrificial fire, waiting on guests, making offering to the forefathers, and offering of one's shared food to living entities in general. Srila Prabhupada comments as follows in these sacrifices. In another place, Krishna was found performing the Pancha Yagna sacrifice, which is compulsory for a householder. This yagya, also known as Panchasuna, knowingly or unknowingly, everyone, specifically the householder, is committing 5 kinds of sinful activities. When we receive water from a water pitcher, we kill so many germs that are in it. Similarly, when we use a grinding machine or take foodstuffs, we kill many germs. When sweeping the floor or igniting the fire, we kill many germs. And when we walk in the street, we kill many ants and other insects. Consciously or unconsciously, in all our different activities, we are killing. Therefore, it is incumbent upon every householder to perform the Panchasuna sacrifice to rid himself of the reactions to such sinful activities. Before I go on to discuss, I just want to draw and clarify something, draw your attention and clarify something. Where we say offerings to the forefathers, we do not mean our regular offerings that we may necessarily do in what we call Pitar Paksh. In Krishna consciousness, the understanding is that every time we offer Bhoga to the Supreme Lord, then the generations of our ancestors before and the generations to come derive benefit. So here, Srila Prabhupada is telling us that performing the sacrificial fire is an important part of the householder's life. It purifies you from the sinful activities that you have. But I also want you to see this in a different way. And today, I'm going to take you in a different angle and direction there. So, you would have read on our poster all of the benefits of offering this yajna, right? And of course, you know why the number 108 is significant. I won't go into that now. But one of the key ways in which this yajna works is that it offers you directly the opportunity to perform some form of sacrifice. And what did we say about sacrifice? What is the benefit of sacrifice? I'm a very bad teacher, or you're a very quiet audience. What is the ultimate benefit of sacrifice? Yes, you get spiritual knowledge. So this is an opportunity, and it works in 2 ways. Number 1, you get to rid yourself of the sinful activities that we're doing on a daily basis, all the harms we are causing. Number 2, you use your material possession, wealth, to perform a spiritual activity. Now, some of you are thinking, this Mataji is selling her fundraising in a very different way. And no, I'm not cheating. Let me tell you why. One of the things Srila Prabhupada often emphasized in his lectures, and it's so important for you to hear Srila Prabhupada and to read about his activities. You know, we have Vyasa Puja coming up. If you can offer nothing else, offer some of your time in reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada talks about how important it is to help those who provide the opportunities for devotional service. Now, I want to ask a question here. Which is your real home? Okay, where's the original home? Spiritual world, very good. Right? This is a bad holiday home we have right now. In this material world, where's your physical home? In the temple. Yes, why in the temple? Because the temple is a representation of that spiritual world. Now, in your actual home, the one you stay in every day, you are responsible for taking care of everything in it, correct? Do you have a roof? I hope. Do we have light and water? Yes. Do we ensure that we have enough bhoga to be able to cook? Do we have security? Do you maintain that home? Why? Because all those things are important for you to exist on a daily basis. And what did you just tell me is your most important home in the material world? The temple. Now, I'm going to ask an important question. No harm in maintaining the home you live in, but what is more important to maintain? Why is it important to maintain the temple? Do we have a roof? Yes, one that leaks sometimes and gives us trouble. Do we have light and water? Do we have bhoga? What's one thing we have here that we don't have in our own homes maybe and is very critical? We have to take care of the deities. Is there security? Who's taking care of all of this? And your clever answer is Krishna, but yes. Who has Krishna given responsibility to? To us. To us. And who facilitates this responsibility? The temple management. Right? So the temple management is actually not a group of people who get paid to do this. No, I'm greedy for something else. I don't have a lot of money. I told you I'm a teacher, don't earn very well. And I'm married to a teacher, crazy me. It means you're poor all the time. But what I have is my time and my energy. In fact, for those of you who know it, my home is a disaster in terms of what it looks like and how far it's finished and completed. Because I don't have the time for it anymore. Because I want to, I love to be able to serve here. And why do I want to and love to serve here? Because it provides you all with an opportunity to extend your Krishna consciousness. And in Krishna consciousness, we have a very important concept. We say we are Das Anu, Das. What does that mean? Servant of the servant. So as leadership in the temple, that is what we want to be. We want to be servants to you. And to do that, we have the responsibility to maintain the temple. And what does that responsibility look like? Sorry, my teacher tendency means I always want to show you the evidence of what I am saying. I was not going to show you this and I was going to ask you, but in the interest of time, this is what we have spent in the month that passed. I'll draw your attention, and these are what we call the fixed expenses. Those who work in the corporate world, what is a fixed expense? It doesn't fluctuate. Means this is what we're going to have to cough up every month. So this house that is yours, that we take care of for you, needs us to do this on a monthly basis. I'll take one example that I don't think you have realized. Look at salaries and allowances. For our Govinda staff, 40,098 rand. In total, with the rest of the temple staff, in July, we would have paid salaries for 85,000 rand. Krishna is merciful. He is. But His mercy extends as far as we are willing to sacrifice our time, our energy, to take care of this wonderful home that we all see as very important to us. So sometimes, as managers, when we decide, let's do a project like this, it is actually in service of you. We're making the opportunity for you to connect, to increase, to use that sacrifice of that time, that Lakshmi, that energy, in furthering your Krishna consciousness. Right? The nicest thing about being on the management is you learn how to be humble. And let me tell you why. Because we're always begging. We're always begging. We're begging to keep this home of yours solidly up and running every month. So every month, like you worry in your home, will I have enough to sort out everything that is there? We also have sleepless nights. Sometimes we are on phone calls to each other, and Prabhu, who's really such a sterling example of giving his life, he's on the phone, he's getting devotees to say, can you help us here? Can we do that? Then we're coming up with ideas, how can we do this? How will we make sure that we have enough by the end of the month? Move this here, let's get that there, let's do that there. And who are we doing it for? Who are we doing it for? For you. And by your admittance, I didn't tell you this, you told me that this is your home. And none of us, it's a silly thing to say, but none of us on this management team take a salary. Imagine if we did. My God, that'll be double what we require. What we do take, though, is the wonderful opportunity to serve each of you. It is the way we are das anudas. Now that was July. And what was the total we needed for July? Almost 300,000 rand. Now we're coming into this wonderful week of festivals. And the week of festivals is, I think, some of the most beautiful darshans you get in the course of the year. We dress the Lord opulently, we offer Him garlands. We do all of His puja, His worships, all of the wonderful feast that we offer. All of those, I wish, magically would appear, but they don't. They don't. And we are very reliant on all of you to help us keep this home running. Therefore, we have created this opportunity. Those are the upcoming festivals. I'm sure you've seen this go out on our communications. And that's the cost that will be over and above what we spend on a monthly basis for our fixed expenses. So this program of the Yajna is a way for us to give and to get. We give you that opportunity to make that sacrifice of the time and the energy and the Lakshmi, and to give you that opportunity will also mean that you get the opportunity to increase your devotional service. So I want you to see this idea of partaking in these programs not as, oh, they are asking us for money again. And now I've shown you what we do with all that money. By the way, we didn't have 300,000 rand this month. But somehow, by the mercy of the Lord, we are able to tell some of the creditors we have, can we pay you in a little while? And by their grace, we manage from month to month. For us to be owing money to people is not the way Srila Prabhupada would have wanted us to run this organization. So today, I want to encourage you to participate. Now, for many of us, 1,008 rand is a difficult ask, certainly. And with everything happening in the next couple of weeks, the important festivals, it may be difficult to reach 1,008 rand. But here's when the opportunity can be worked in a nice way. What about if 6 people get together and give us 200 rand? Can we reach 1,008 rand? Can we? It's doable, isn't it? What if 4 people get together and say, I can give you 400 Rand? Their Lordships Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki, Shishini Thai Gaura Sundar ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So, if we can't give 1,008 Rand, that allows 6 members of our family to partake in this beautiful opportunity to give and to get, can we do 2 people? Can we do 4 people? Can we do 6 people? It's very doable, isn't it? How many of us have already subscribed to this? Right. Srila Prabhupada's beautiful offering of this temple and the wonderful arrangement of these deities needs us. How many of us can commit to a smaller amount? 200? 400? Is that able? Are we able to do that? How many of us would like to do that? Raise your hand. I can see the cracks in the wall still there. Devotees, today is a wonderful opportunity. We said it's Ekadasi. Fantastic opportunity for us to make that spiritual progress. And we said sacrifice today, right? Let me ask that question again. How many of us are willing before the Lord to commit to wanting to participate in this yajna in whichever way we can? Because I'm willing to say to you, that's okay, few more hands. I'm still not seeing many hands. I'm very patient. Thank you, Mataji's. I see quite a few hands on that side. Prabhus? Right. Even if you don't want to tell me, you decide today that if we offer this opportunity, 1,008 times 108, Bhaktivinoda Prabhu, what does that give you? I teach English, maths is not my strong point. What it gives us is enough to survive 2 more months. And I use the word survive because that's where we are financially most months. We are at the point where we are barely making it. And unless we don't do something drastic, these amounts simply haunt us in our sleep. Now, without taking too much time for you to participate in the Aarti ceremony, there are several announcements that I want to make. Number 1 being our beautiful festival of Julan Yatra starts today. We can see this amazing, absolutely resplendent offering of the swing done so wonderfully by Her Grace Ananda Vrindavani Mataji, together with a whole group of devotees. So do make sure you offer the opportunity to swing their lordships gently. There's many wonderful stories and classes around this pastime, so I encourage you to please listen. This will run until Thursday. We have the most wonderful festival of the appearance of Lord Balaram. And thereafter, on Saturday, we have the Tongat Ratha Yatra. Their lordships will be taken on parade through the town of Tongat. Then on Sunday, we have this wonderful festival where all of you are going to participate. How wonderful if I run into a situation where I say, I can't accommodate anymore. Maybe instead of 108, I have to do 1,008 the next time, right? So there's that opportunity. Then going into next week, we have Janamastami on the 7th, Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja on the 8th. Now there are many services available. In Govindas, we require the help of devotees in making sure we do enough preparations for the festivals that are upcoming. We have wonderful opportunities in helping with the decor, in helping with cleaning of boga for all of the various feasts that are going to be offered across all of these festivals. So please take advantage. Remember we said to sacrifice means if we can give up our time, we gain. This is one place where giving something up is great because you're going to get something for it, right? We'll also give you some prasad, but more than that, most importantly, you're going to get the wonderful opportunity to increase your devotional service. Now, one other thing that we are promoting starting today is that we want to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books and not wait just for the book marathon to do so. So today, as a special offer, for a donation of 30 rands or more, the devotees handling our book table at the back will give you a special gift. And thereafter, they'll be available every Sunday for you to help. You don't have to buy the book personally. You can make an arrangement to be able to distribute it. But more importantly than distributing the book is what? Reading it. Accessing the information in Srila Prabhupada's wonderful books. Then we also have many opportunities, like I said, for service over the next few weeks. If you are interested in serving, you can see Achyuta Priya Mataji in the office. And finally, just to make sure we have covered all of the things that we need, we are doing BTG Drive. We'll find that many of us have BTG subscriptions that we haven't updated in many years. Now, BTG subscriptions are also a way in which the temple earns their income to be able to provide, to keep this wonderful house of yours going. All right? So please make sure you are able to up your BTG subscriptions, or if you don't have one, to take one. And then we have a small gift for the Matajis today. A wonderful business house is offering a voucher to you for a free skin analysis valued at 300 Rand. You'll be able to pick that up at the book table as well. Srila Prabhupada ki. We'll now have the Aarti ceremony. You'll have the opportunity to swing their lordships after the Aarti ceremony. So we'll give our attention to the Aarti ceremony and Kirtan, and thereafter you can swing their lordships before you go down for prasad.
Hare Krishna. Namo. Haribol, please settle down. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Samate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nivitsisa Chanyavade Pasita Disitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo, bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami, Nayana Patagami Bhavatame. Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami, Nayana Patagami Bhavatame. Nitai Gaura Sundar, Nitai Gaura Sundar, Gaura Sundar. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, the Julan Yatra, see the kids have already started swinging the Lordships, so let's try and organize ourselves so we swing the Lord a few times and try and go through it as quickly as possible. There's quite a lot of devotees in the temple room today. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare